Thought today we would do kind of some old school stuff, Iyengar stuff. For those of you who know the evolution of yoga, very much Iyengar is a part of that process, and working with the shoulders. I don't know if any of you remember we've done the wall clock before. That's kind of like a classic thing, and some shoulder stretches. So we're gonna just kind of just dive in a little to the specifics of our shoulders today. Um, so I think all of that I'm still recovering from shoulder surgery, but doing pretty good. But there's always like fine tuning. I think that any of us and all of us can do to combat this life. Where we hunch forward, we're leaning over all the time, even if we're very conscious to try to keep our posture alive and upright. We tend as humans to lean forward a lot. And if you ever kind of hang out with a whole bunch of people in their 80s and 90s, you can start to see that shape, that cashew shape that people tend to have as they age because we've spent our whole life doing this. So just kind of working with the shoulders and the open heart to combat some of that rounded posture. And we've talked many times before about how sometimes changing the body changes the mind. And so working with opening up your shoulders and your chest can do a lot for changing your breath patterns, changing your mind patterns. So my hope is kind of moving a little slower in the realms of the shoulder table, just kind of get into some nooks and crannies and nitty gritty that even if you don't have anything going on with your shoulders at all, you'll probably find that you have something happening in your shoulders somewhere. So we need today the rolled towel. I think I see, Maggie already on it, but let's make sure we all have our rolled towel with the rubber bands handy, so that we can do a little bit of thoracic spine opening in that way. Okay, so once you get comfy, go ahead and sit up straight and tall and take a moment to just drop your awareness down into your body. Always, no matter how busy we get in our days and in our minds, our practice is this time to really suspend all of the busyness of our lives and of our mind and bring us into the here and now. So let's treasure this gift of presence with self. Whatever it is that you are discovering as you close your eyes and turn inward, just to allow yourself to be present with it. Just kind of take a moment to move through the koshas of your body, kind of sensing first your physical body. Is there anything that you're noticing about how you feel in your body? There doesn't have to be judgment or expectation, but just a awareness of what is. Moving into the breath, the prana body, noticing what's here. How are you breathing so far today? Or how are you breathing in this moment, I should say? Is there any sense of restriction, or are you able to welcome the breath? Does it feel good to turn your attention toward the breath? Is there any kind of chronic place that tends to bind that you can turn toward and tend to let your breath open more? Sensing into the mental body, how is the quality of your thoughts? Do you have things on repeats? You can kind of sense into the blending of the thinking mind and the emotional self, where we have this interplay of our thoughts and our emotions. So, how are you? How is your sense of joy, your sense of gladness for the day? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you landing right now? Again, no expectation or judgments, but being able to just hold what is, be present for what is. As you've been sitting for a bit, let's turn back toward our posture and let's have a moment to just squeeze the shoulder blades. Kind of just give them a good squeeze back there, like you're trying to squeeze a pencil between your shoulder blades. Give a good snug hug there and then release. And let's do that one more time. A little bit of a snug hug using all those muscles in the back body. Sometimes giving them a little job to do is one of the best things that you can do to kind of recommit to the posture that you're looking for. And a third time, one more time, give a good squeeze. And just notice as you release if that released any of the fatigue that you might have been having from sitting. And also notice if the squeeze and kind of awareness and lighting up of the muscles in the back of your body, has it given an ease into the open heart? Is it a little easier to kind of melt into that open heart space? And then when you're ready, bring your hands together at your heart, bow in. What is an intention that's here for you? What are you focusing on today? Take your hands just ever so slightly away from your chest. So you're not leaning against your chest, but your thumbs are drawing away. And imagine a magnet with your thumbs that's just pulling the heart just ever so slightly forward and up. And if your head was bowed, see if you can allow your head to come into good posture, ears over your shoulders. If you had your eyes open, you'd be gazing straight at the horizon. Just take a moment to recommit to that intention. And then release your hands. And let's find our way onto our back. All right. So make sure you have this little rolled towel. We're going to start with this. Okay. So coming onto your back, just put the towel off to the side just for a moment. We're going to stretch our arms overhead and feel that deep reach in the body. Just having a moment to enjoy stretching one side and stretching the other side, and try to get your whole side involved all the way from your foot to your hand. See if you can feel this beautiful sensation of kind of awakening your body. And then draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a little hug and kind of check in. How's your back? Is there anything that you need to modify or do differently to support your well-being in your practice today? Hang on to your knees. Let's circle. So anything and everything I say is just a suggestion. My sincere hope is that your practice, after all this evolution of a home practice that you've had, has really morphed into treating your body with the utmost respect. Let's go ahead and take our knees away from the midline and back in. And not only respect, but a sense of awareness that today I'm recognizing I need this and not that. So that you really can mold your yoga practice to what your needs are. Right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground, and give your feet a little wiggle. And open them up, say hello. Heavy head, so remember to let your head stay in the back seat. We don't have to drive forward right now. Okay, changing sides, left knee and right leg long on the ground. Feel into that movement and freedom of your feet. Such a little blessing to be able to move your feet and move about in all the joints of your feet. So feel into the joy of it. And then stretch your limbs wide on the ground and feel that big open space of a star. Make yourself big and spacious. When your exhale comes, pick up your head, draw your knees in, a little roundedness in your spine. One more time, feeling that big open space. And then exhale, drawing in, hugging and letting your back round. All right, let's put our feet onto the ground and let's just warm up with a little twisting before we get onto the rolled towel. So a little bit left and right, windshield wipering with your knees. You can turn your head in opposition of your knees. You can stretch a little deeper if you want to. again, just make the practice feel good for your body. So, one of the things that has evolved for me in my yoga practice over the years is relying less on what somebody else tells me is right for my body and relying more on what I say is right for my body. And this takes skill. Not only does it take trust in self, but it takes skill building, so that you can trust what you're sensing. So my hope is that you are doing the same. Okay, so let's take this rolled towel underneath our spine. Let's start with it kind of at the spine of the scapula, the bony part of the shoulder blade that's kind of on the high top of the shoulder blade. And then remember, all of you have done this, but let's just maybe start with just our legs so we feel into that rocking where we're pushing off our feet and rolling on that rolled towel. So we want to have minimum action in the pelvis. We want to have a nice quiet pelvis so that our feet are just gently moving our spine. Try to work less and find more ease. And then start to take the arm position. So the first position is the hands straight over the chest. The second position is the arms over your head, all the while rocking on that towel. And then the third position is a little bit of a twist, so the arms come over to one side, the head turns, all the while rocking, and then to the other side. Okay. So you're gonna find places along the way that are like, yay, I'm so glad we're doing this. And then you're gonna find places that are like kind of neutral. And then you might even find places that are like, oh, I don't like it there. So we're gonna move down the spine. So taking all three of those positions with the arms, and take your time, even if I end quicker than you or whatever, you can always just ignore me and keep going with this. And also notice, if you love this, and I hope you do, what prevents you from just doing it on your own? Like, is it one of those things that you only do it when I'm like, today we're gonna work with the towel? And that goes with all the things that are self-nurturing. What is it that unlocks your capacity to actually follow through and do the things that make you feel good? And that doesn't just mean in yoga, but anything. What prevents you from creating the routines in your daily rhythm that you enjoy, that increases that gladness factor, and also just is very nourishing to your body, to your mind, to your spirit? Can you have just a little mini awareness of what helps me keep those rhythms alive in my day? And how can I put structures in place? Like maybe it's just leaving your yoga props out so that you see them, or whatever works for you. And as we're doing this, pay attention to your breath. Notice your breathing body. Try to go slow enough where you're really starting to become aware of, oh, this spot feels really good. Oh, this spot doesn't. The more we become aware in our body, the more capacity we have to sense that trust that I was talking about earlier, of knowing, this is good for me, this is not good for me. And then acting on that knowing, creating boundaries where you need them, opening pathways where you can. Alex, that breath. And even though this doesn't exactly work directly on the shoulders, notice how intimately connected your rib cage, your spine, your shoulder blades, those are all, can form roots for what's happening in our shoulders. So tending to these areas of your body will help your shoulder mobility. Breathing deeply. One of the things that I've very much learned in the journey of recovery from a shoulder injury is how important all these muscles in your back are to support the movements of your shoulders. So, your
traps, your mid traps, upper traps, low traps, your rhomboids, those muscles between your shoulder blades, the lats, those big muscles in your back body. There's a lot of muscles, and those are only just a couple. There's many more that really contribute to the well-being of your shoulder joints that aren't necessarily quote unquote part of your shoulder joint, like your rotator cuff. So maybe you're kind of getting a little lower down your spine. And again, anytime you find a spot where you're like, ooh, that's a good spot, hang out there. There's no rush. You don't have to complete your whole spine every time you do this. You can, have little spot treatments if you need it. And if you are, getting into your low back at all, getting down that way, remember that once you get to your low back, the curves of your spine change, and you may not feel this action so profoundly. And if that's the case, you can always bend your knees toward your chest and just hang out on holding your knees and just rock a little bit. And you can rock a little bit side to side, and you can rock a little bit top bottom. So there's ways you kind of take it out of your shoulders at that point, but remember everything's connected. So how you feel in your low back is absolutely going to be connected to how the rest of your spine moves. Breathe, breathe, breathe. I feel like I'm going a little faster, than I do when I'm just kind of hanging out doing this for fun. So, if you're not moving as quickly as me, or maybe you're moving quicker, again, not to worry. We may not get to the whole spine, and that's okay. And you can also just stay and keep going with your spine if you're a little slower and you want to finish all the way down. Okay, so I'm in my low back right now. And make sure you take at least a couple of passes in your low back, 2 or 3 spots where you're holding your knees and just kind of letting a little bit of that massage happen into the low back. And then when you get down to your sacrum, you can put your feet back onto the ground. And at the I'm not there yet, but at the very tail end, like literally your tailbone, it sometimes is helpful to straighten the legs, heels on the ground, and just rocking off your heels. So a little flexing point of your toes. And it may seem when you get down to the lower spine and the pelvis that the arm positions no longer matter, but they do. So keep doing the flexion, extension, and rotation that your arms are providing. So even though we don't feel that action directly in the area where we're rolling on the towel, the spine is so intimately connected, and what we feel in one spot will have a thread pull on the rest. I'm sure you've all noticed this, when you have a little injury or a big injury, other parts of your body start unraveling. You might find, compensatory patterns or just ways in which your body is altering its movements because of an injury that can be far flung away from the site of pain. All right, so I'm going to end there and keep going, but like I said, keep doing you if you want to keep doing that. And we're going to stretch your limbs wide to a star one more time, and then draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a strong hug. Put your feet on the ground for a moment, arms down at your sides as if you're about to lift up into a bridge. We're not going to, but just sense your shoulders drawing down toward the ground. You don't have to push or pull, but just weight the heads of your arm bones and feel the aliveness of your spine. Take a deep breath. And then when you're ready, roll to your side
to come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so once you get situated with your hands and your knees, let's enjoy some cat cows. So getting a little more full movement in the spine. And feel free to, change the positions of your movement. You can move around, wagging your tail, rolling through your rib cage, moving your head around, whatever movements are releasing and feel really good. All right, and then let's push into the ground. Okay, so we feel that sense, almost feel as though you can push the floor away, like you're trying to push a car in the snow. Push, push, push. And feel those lats and your serratus and the side bodies turn on. And then we're going to come to a more neutral place. And then find just a little teeny bit of a squeeze like we did when we were sitting. You don't have to go so far in this, but the heart may fall toward the ground a little bit as you squeeze. And then one more time, push the floor away. So we're just moving into this protraction of the shoulder blades when they spread apart, and retraction of the shoulder blades when they come closer together. All right, and then relax that and come down into child's pose, taking your arms out in front of you and feeling that beautiful stretch through your shoulders and your lats. Palms can find their way to the floor, maybe inching your hands a little farther forward. Keep the neck as relaxed and soft as you can. Breathe well from your hands down your arms, into your armpits, into your sides. And then soften your hands back just a little bit and walk the hands over to the left side of the mat and drop your sit bones down. Feeling that side body stretch. Of course, we feel this in our ribs, but also feel it in your armpit and in your shoulder and into your triceps. Like find that connection of arm to torso. Then come back to center. Walk the hands over to the other side. Finding this big side body stretch really opens up our lats. Feel into the breathing into your ribs. Find that connection through your armpit of your arm to your torso. Then come back to center. Let's go ahead and find our way onto all fours again. Let's take a twist. This warm-up twist, I think, is a very good one. So let's start with our right arm, lifting it high to the sky. And exhale, sliding underneath, threading the needle. And allow, if you can, your head and your shoulder to rest on the ground. Gaze toward the floor, hips stay high. Breathe into all the places that you feel right now. And then we're going to come halfway out, so getting into that posterior capsule of the shoulder stretching. So face the ground. Collarbones are wide. Our pelvis can come down like child's pose, but our arm is underneath us. We're just stretching into the back side of the shoulder. For some people, this might feel like nothing. For other people, if you've had a shoulder issue, this can be just a huge, huge sensation. So just notice along that spectrum what you're feeling. And then inhale and reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. Before switching sides, do another moment of pushing the floor away, protracting the shoulder blades, and then melting the heart toward the floor, shoulder blades toward the spine. Find neutral, and lift that left arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that arm underneath. Gaze toward the floor. Let your head be neutral and soft, finding your way into that twist. We did twists. Because on Monday we did some twisting postures and we kind of woke up the obliques a lot. So just notice your obliques here. What's happening in this twisting torso of yours? And then when you come out, come halfway out with the arms. So we're facing the ground. Draw your shoulder blades away from the ears. The collarbones get broad.
Drop your hips back toward the heels. Just open up into that posterior capsule stretch.
Relax that, and let's go ahead and lift that arm all the way up in the air. Hands down onto the ground. One more time. Push the floor away, protract. Shoulder blades toward the spine, retract. Find your way up to a dog pose when you feel ready. And remember, anything and everything can be modified. Okay, so let's enjoy our legs for a moment. Pedal your feet. Let your Achilles and your calves open up. Maybe your hips sway. Maybe your knee bends a lot. So just see what kind of movement you need to welcome dog pose into your body. Remember, we don't do the pose. The pose is there for us to experience. So let the shape give you something. How's your breath? When you have your hands planted well on the ground, do you notice you put more weight on the outside edges of your hand? Can you roll toward the index finger mound and inner thumb mound and drop a little extra weight there? Hug your hands toward each other. Feel what turns on to support when you do this. All right, and then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Let your back open up. You can bobble your head. You can sway. You can bounce. You can be still. Inhale for a halfway lift. Thigh bones move back. Exhale and release again. Now, if you know you get dizzy on the way up, maybe pause halfway. Maybe come right up to stand. Maybe squeeze to the midline. There's a lot of things that can create that, dizzy feeling when you're down and you come up. Could be your blood pressure's low. Could be your vagus nerve is a little sluggish. Could be a lot of things. Okay, so just take care for yourself. Take a deep breath in, reaching the arms up. Let's extend. So just like we do on the ground in the beginning of class, let's find that way where we're kind of just climbing a little bit of a side ladder. Breathing well. Then we're going to turn this into a little bit stronger of a movement where our opposite elbow is going to hug down toward our hip and lift your hip to meet that elbow. Your heel might even come off the ground. You're just kind of stretching and climbing, warming up through your shoulders a little bit. Feeling how your spine and your hips and your legs and your shoulders can coordinate. And then release your hands down. Give your hands a little bit of a shake. Okay. We're going to bring our hands straight out in front of us, palms facing the floor. For a moment, drop your shoulders down away from the ears. And we're just going to warm up a little bit of action of just going straight out, kind of slicing through the air, where we come straight out as if we're in like Virabhadrasana, 2 arms, and then back in toward the center. Keep the shoulder blades down as best as you can so that we're not hiking up toward our ears. And try to keep your hands on this plane of your shoulders instead of letting them drop. Breathing well. And relax your shoulders down, give them a little bit of a shake. We'll lift them all the way up. Cactus your arms. Feel those shoulder blades squeeze in toward each other again. And then round in, arms come to touch. All right, and release your hands down. Let's shrug your shoulders. Give them a good squeeze up toward your ears. And let them down. Again, shrug your shoulders up. And let them down. Okay. Bring your arms straight out to the sides. Press the walls away. Lift your fingers strongly up toward the sky and get your palms to stretch as best as you can. Start to do a little circling backwards here. They don't have to be giant circles. They can be small or whatever size feels natural. We're keeping the heart open. Try not to push the rib cage way forward so we're integrating into our torso and our legs. change the direction. So now we're going forward with our circles. And just, adjust how you want your circle shape to feel. Breathing well. All right, and then relax. I don't know about you, but I tire easily with my shoulder. So just notice if that's fatiguing for you. Now we're gonna put our hands, elbows bent at our sides, palms are facing up toward the sky. Imagine that you have a platter in your hands holding just a little bit of weight, like you're serving a tray of tea or something. Okay. So feel the collarbones lift out a little bit. So we're opening up, integrate the rib cage, find that good posture. And then feel into the back side of your shoulders, your shoulder blades. We're going to open up our hands out to the sides, like you're serving two platters to people on the left and right of you, and then back to center. And, pay attention. Is the angle that you can go out to the side the same on both sides, or are you a little restricted on one side? Just feel into the subtlety of those rotator cuff muscles. They're not strong, like big, strong quads or something, but they're very important for stabilizing our humerus bones, the upper arm bones, into the shoulder socket. So as you come out now, imagine you just put a little teeny bit more weight, like now you have full teapots instead of empty teapots in your hands. Open up across your chest, try to integrate your rib cage into the body. Feel the shoulder blades. Imagine you're trying to squeeze your shoulder blades toward each other, but they're not moving. Just activate some of those muscles in the back of your body. And then release and bring your hands back in. Give your arms a little bit of a shake. Let's step away from our shoulders for a moment. Inhale, arms coming up. And then exhale, folding forward. Relax your spine. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt and fold again. Let's step our left foot back, coming into a lunge, finding the joy of our legs. Okay. Go ahead and bend and straighten and just enjoy stretching open the hamstrings, stretching open the hip flexors. When sensation arrives, just bring your mind right into your body and feel how nice it is to be present inside your body. Round into your lunge. Inhale, rising up, crescent lunge, arms coming up. And of course, if you're taking a little break with your arm movements, you can always keep your arms down. Okay, let's cactus our arms here and see if you can feel the shoulder blade muscles in between the shoulder blades without pushing your rib cage forward. So floating ribs draw in, back body engaged. And then release, and we're gonna push the the wall in front of us away. So lean forward and press those hands out. Find your breath. Let's take our right arm next to our right side, left arm out in front of you. Reach your hands away from each other. Place that left hand down onto a block or the ground and find a twist. Shoulder blades down the back. Feel those muscles between your shoulder blades. Find their strength. Hug to the midline with your legs. Finding your breathing. Exhale. Hands down onto the ground. Back to dog pose. Root into the index finger mounds, thumb mounds well. Hug your hands toward each other. Notice, you can get lazy sometimes in this pose. So release that. Release the hugging the hands toward each other. Release the weight of your index finger mounds. And notice, when you just bear weight down onto the ground and don't engage, where's the tension points in your shoulders? Okay, where are you kind of leaning into ligaments, leaning into tendons? And then re-engage, index finger mounds, thumb mounds. Hug your hands toward each other. Maybe roll your forearms in and your upper arms out. Find that ringing of two opposing directions. Melt through your neck. Find your breath. And then we're going to come forward into a plank. And you can always put your knees down if you need to. Shoulder blades away from the ears. Have a moment of push the floor away into that protraction and bring the shoulder blades toward each other without collapsing the heart. Retraction. One more time, push. One more time, retract. Integrate your core. All right, find the ground. Knees can come down to help you. A couple of shoulder rolls. And then before you lift up into Cobra Pose, draw your shoulder blades down your back a bit. Engage your core. Feel that center body. Try to feel that the bottom tips of your shoulder blades and your front ribs can find each other so that there's an integration into the center body instead of falling into the ground. Inhale to a Cobra Pose. Open heart. Exhale. Release back down. One more time, shoulder blades down. Feel those muscles between your shoulders. Work a little bit for the pose and relax. Take your hands a little bit out to the side so that they form a cactus. If you're comfy, put your forehead on the ground. Have a breath. We're going to do this twice, 2 different positions. First, draw your elbows closer down toward your hips. Palms are still cactus on the ground. Inhale, lift your upper body so the elbows are lower than your shoulders. Hug the bottom tips of your shoulder blades toward your pelvis. Integrate your floating ribs. Exhale. Those are your lower traps that you're feeling. And now we'll come out to a cactus. So our hands, our wrists are in line with our elbows are in line with our shoulders. And we're going to lift up again, but before you do, find your ribs, hug them in, find your legs, press them down, take a deep breath in, rising up, keep your neck neutral. Try to keep your hands and your elbows on the same plane. Exhale, lower yourself down. Come up onto all fours. That's a lot of work. Notice, as we kind of move toward shoulder mobility, we're finding back body stability. Think of the roots of your shoulders as being in these deep muscles in your back instead of just relying on the shoulder joint itself. Okay? Move your spine around any bit you want, curl your toes under, and feel the reach again to a nice, strongly supported dog pose. Index finger, thumb mounds, finding even balance. Maybe your forearms roll in, maybe your biceps roll up toward the sky. Just experiment. Everybody's elbow joints are a little different in what the need is there. Hug your hands toward each other. Feel the muscles, your serratus muscles, your lats turn on when you isometrically try to hug your hands toward each other. Find all this support. There's a lot of muscles to support if you let them turn on. Okay, let's bring our left foot into the front, finding a lunge here. Shoulders away from the ears. And let's go ahead and move through the posture, straightening our leg, bending our knee, enjoying what it feels like to be in your body, to be in your breath. And then root your feet down. Have a moment to feel your lunge. And then when you feel steady, go ahead and lift on up. Maybe the arms come up. Maybe you're taking a little break and need a little ease in your shoulders right now and have your hands down. Finding breath. Integrate your floating ribs. Try not to pop them out. So it's very easy to just kind of bend, right? So floating ribs in. Feel the strength of the muscles of your back. And then let's cactus open the arms, big open, stretch through the chest, and then push forward, like you're pushing a wall away. Feel that extension through your spine. And when you're ready, left arm down at your side, right arm out in front of you. Reach your hands away from each other. Finding that length, feel into your legs, root, feel into your core, integrate those ribs. And then place your right hand down onto the block or ground and left arm reaches up to the sky. Shoulder blades down the back.
Up to the midline with your legs. Keep your neck soft. If you don't want to turn up, you don't have to turn your head up. Exhale, hands down. Walk your back foot forward. Come to Uttanasana. Relax your skull. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt and fold. Rising up. Bringing the arms up to the sky. And trace down through the midline. So my hope is that some of the strength building we've done so far has kind of awoken the anchor points of your shoulders through your ribs and your back, instead of just relying on, your deltoids to lift you up and things like that. Okay. So now we're gonna move a little bit towards some stretching. So grab your strap. You want to make sure you have enough width on the strap so that when you bring your arms back, you can do this at the same time. So you don't want to have one arm kind of moving forward and then the other. Try to have enough width where you can have both arms doing the same thing at the same time. Okay. This can be very difficult. So the wider you go on the strap, the easier. Pay very close attention to what's happening in your upper traps. You don't want to have this jacking up toward your ears. And then when we find, ooh, this is hard for me. When we find a spot we want to kind of hang out, sometimes it's helpful to put your hands against a wall so your neck can be at ease, but whether you're in space or against a wall, pay attention to your neck and try not to let your upper traps hold you here. Slide your shoulder blades down. Spaciousness in the base of the skull. Try drawing your hyoid bone right up in the front of your throat. Draw it in and up. And then release and melt your hands off the strap. Okay, we're gonna do the wall clock. It's been a while since we've done this. I'm gonna go to this back wall. So it's a little hard sometimes to see me, but I think you all have done this before. Sorry. So we're gonna start with our right hand. So we wanna face away from, to our right side is facing the wall. And we're gonna imagine that we're at a clock. So we're gonna start at 1 o'clock and we're gonna go clockwise. Palm is into the wall. Stretch open through your chest. So you can face a little bit more toward the wall if you need to, and then turn away from the wall as much as you can. So we're just stretching through the fibers of our pec muscles, breathing well. Sometimes having your other hand on the wall can be stabilizing. Again, be very mindful of what's happening in your upper traps. How's your breath? And then we're going to take our hand out to 3 o'clock. Stretching open through our chest. You can use your other hand to stabilize, integrate your ribs, find your breathing. Bring your hand down to 5 o'clock. So your pectoralis, major muscles, fibers go in multiple directions. So this ensures that we stretch all of it. Your pec minor can be one of those hidden culprits of that collapsed forward structure of our chest and shoulders. Sometimes when our pec minors get really, really tight, they can pull us into that collapsed posture. And then relax. Now we're going to face the wall. Turn the arm, cross it in front of your body. Now the palm's going to be facing out with the back of the hand on the wall. So we're going to start at 7 o'clock. Facing the wall, the collarbones are broad. Again, checking in with the upper traps and breathing well. And as you are ready, we can move the hand up to 9 o'clock. Shoulders down away from the ears, collarbones broaden. This is very similar to the stretch we did in the beginning of class. And then
all the way up to 11 o'clock. Breathing deeply. All right, and then a big swing through. Just kind of notice for a moment the sensation of having stretched one side and not the other. You can shake your hands if you need. And then let's switch sides. Now our left side is going to be facing the wall. We're going to go counterclockwise. We're going to start with our hand at 11 o'clock. Again, you can use your right hand to help you stabilize or just let it be at your side. Try not to push the ribs out and have this like back bendy thing going on. Integrate the floating ribs, tailbone descends, unlock your knees. Pay close attention to the base of your skull and how much tension might be creeping there. This is a good stretch for your pec minor. The pec minor and your subscapularis, one of your rotator cuff muscles, that is in charge of internal rotation of your shoulder, your humerus bone in your shoulder joint. Those two are paired up well. They kind of potentiate each other, your subscap and your pec minor. So sometimes if you know that you have trouble with stretching your subscap, like that external rotation stretch, like cactusing your arms, or if you lie on your back and your arms are cactused, if you can't get your hands to the floor, that's kind of an indication of some tightness in your subscap. So tending to your pec minor like this can be a helpful part of that, releasing that pattern. Okay, let's go ahead and take our hand to 9 o'clock, stretching open, getting a little more into the pec major now. Feel into that beautiful space as you breathe. And coming down to 7 o'clock, feeling the head of the arm bone stretch a little bit. This can also stretch the attachment of your bicep tendon. So it's nice to do if you feel like your biceps get a little tense too. And then we're going to turn and face the wall. Our left arm is going to cross the body. Palm is facing out, back of hand on the wall. 5 o'clock. Collarbone stretching big and broad. And pay attention, whenever we do a two-sided thing, pay attention. How is this feeling versus the other side? Like, just kind of do a little bit of diagnosing what's happening in the difference of your ranges of motion in your two sides. Let's bring the hand up to 3 o'clock. Drop the shoulders. Feel that posterior capsule stretch again. Depending on what's happening in your shoulders, this can be a very mild sensation or it can be a very major sensation. And then lastly, let's go up to 1 o'clock, facing the wall, wide collarbones, drop the shoulders. And then we'll release away from the wall. Give your hands a shake. Let's just have a couple of nice gentle circles. Opening up the shoulders. And then folding forward. Grab onto your elbows and just let them hang a little bit here. Wag your tail, bobble your head, find ease. And then come down onto the ground. We're going to take 2 blocks in front of you. Have them, either like this or like this, whatever. I like to have them long, like a cars in a rail train, just so I have room for my shoulders. Elbows on top of the blocks, palms together, drop back towards child's pose, thumbs toward your spine. Now, if you can't go into deep knee flexion and you feel like you can't get a good stretch, you can always do this standing up and putting your elbows on, like your dresser or your kitchen counter and doing the stretch here. So 2 different ways to go about that.
Both will come into stretching those triceps really well. Find your breathing. All right, let's come out of there. And the last stretch we'll do for our shoulders is a heart bench. We're gonna do this a little differently. So let's have the blocks across our spine, low height. And then the block under our head is gonna be the same height instead of higher. You want to have this block under our shoulder blades to be across the shoulder blades instead of in line with the spine. Head on the block and just see how this feels. If you feel like you need to tip it higher, tip it higher. You might even take it away and put your head on the ground. So you do you, however you feel good. And we're gonna do a few different shoulder movements here. First, just cross your hands to your opposite shoulders, elbows on top of each other. Just have a moment. Find a breath. All right, and then we're going to lift our arms straight up in the air and have a little protraction and retraction. And now for the big movement, we're going to take our hands and interlace our elbows and stretch like you're in protraction. So lift the elbows up so that you can clear your head perhaps, and then stretch your arms back. Now this may be a lot. So you might land with your forearms on your forehead. That's a great place to land. Your arms may travel over your head to the back of your head. So just kind of see where you're at. Keep your neck soft. Relax that hyoid bone in your upper throat. Just down. Relax your throat. Take a breath into the rib cage. Melt what you can. Then we're going to release that. Arms, remember which arm you had on top. Okay. Reach your arms up toward the sky, and then shoulder blades down. One more time, protract, hands up away from chest, retract. Now change the cross. So whatever, if you're not sure, don't think about it and just do, and then switch. Okay? And then stretch one more time into that elongated shoulder extension. So we're opening up our triceps, we're opening up our lats, we're opening up our serratus, we're opening up our breath. Last time, reach your hands straight up, protract, and then release your arms down at your sides. And just have a moment, put your arms anywhere you want. They can be close to your pelvis, they can be out like a T, anything just that creates a little bit of ease, letting the heads of your arm bones fall back. Breathing well. And then we'll go ahead and roll over onto your side. Be careful, come off the blocks. You can keep one under your head. Bring your knees toward your chest. Let your back softly round on your side here. And take a breath into the back of your body. We're going to come onto our back. Bring your knees into your chest. Pick up your head. Just let the back round a little bit, a little counter to the back bend. Rocking a little bit, maybe a happy baby pose. Just feel into what's creating softness and ease in your spine. And then we'll take a simple twist. Feet down onto the ground. Lift your hips over to the right, knees up, drop left. This should be releasing for the back bend. Come into a twist. Let your breath travel slowly and steadily and fully. Let your head turn if it's comfy. up your legs. Let's scoot our hips over to the other side, drop your knees toward the chest or toward the ground and twist open. Head is heavy. Full breaths. Come into Shavasana, and this might be a nice day to experiment with the side lying Shavasana. This might be a nice day to experiment with a child's pose Shavasana, like over a bolster or something. And this might be a nice day to just lie on your back. So there's no rules. See what feels really nice in your body, what is soothing and easeful. It gives you a sense of deep relaxation. You might start one way and after a moment, change positions. So just see what feels good. If you are on your back, always you can complete your practice with a little knees to chest if you need. So just however you're transitioning, let your body rest. Come into a full, beautiful breath. Be very mindful to let the weight of your head drop. Feeling ease in your neck, softness and weight in your shoulders. Find your way into a bit of movement. And as you transition onto your side, take a moment to breathe, to feel your way into your breath. As you come up to sit, let's just take a moment to enjoy
what your posture hopefully feels like, a little bit more capacity to keep your head in line, to keep your heart open, to breathe well, to feel a naturalness of healthy posture instead of something you have to push and force. Enjoy a beautiful breath. Bring your hands together to your heart. And again, feeling that your hands can help your heart lift, that your chin can lift. You can have this upward posture. Offer your blessings out to the world. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.